Hey, so as we're moving into 2021, it's important to reflect on the last year, to celebrate your achievements and be aware of how amazing you are, to look at some of the mistakes and see if, hey, you need to learn from that, you can get better. And at the same time, maybe reorganize your goals or your mindset so that you would have everything ready in place to go and be your best version of yourself. So in order to do that, I think it's great to reflect on the past and at the same time I have a few questions for you, so please answer it with me, maybe for yourself, maybe in the comments if you're brave enough and all that. And as you're answering that, I will later in the video answer them as well. So here we go. What were the highlights of this year? What did you learn about yourself that surprised you? What was the hardest aspect of this year? What lessons did you learn that you're going to take into the next year? What's one thing you're going to commit to not going back to? What is one thing you started doing this year that you want to continue in the next one? In what ways are you stronger than you were last year? What wisdom are you bringing into the next year? What are you most proud of that happened last year? So these are the great questions you can ask yourself to reflect on your life. So please give me the answers in the comments, or at the same time, if you don't feel like talking to people that are here, be sure to answer it for yourself so that you would be aware of what has happened, to celebrate your achievement, to be aware of how amazing you are, of all the strengths you might not sort of acknowledge, but you have it all. Maybe there were some harder times that you have that you've dealt with, but at the same time, each little bit is making you stronger because you're surviving, you're still living, you're still telling your story. And heroes don't wear capes. You are the hero, so there you go. But yeah, let's go. So what were the highlights of this year for me? Whoa. I think the biggest one is damn, I was able to do what I love to do and make a lot of money. And it's just crazy. It's crazy to see how I didn't have to live the life that I did not want it to. And what I mean by that is a lot of people, like my relatives, they see me like, oh, you should be a doctor, you should be a dentist, you should be a lawyer. And they have really good intentions for me, but they don't know what I want. And they were pushing me to go into the university, into the schools, into colleges, and do all the things they thought would be the best for me. And I was like, it's just not my thing. I'm not feeling that. And I decided to risk it all and just do what I want to do. Make YouTube videos, be myself, be creative, music, video games, and all the other stuff. And here it is. It's 2020 is the first year in my whole life that I've made more money than my parents together. It's crazy. It's freaking crazy, but at the same time, it's liberating. I don't need to live by someone else's standards, and I can just be myself, doing what I love to do, and that alone is damn, that can bring in money. What the fuck? So it's just cool. It's this is one of the bigger things. Um, Another thing, I've had quite a lot of my dreams come true. People I admire, people I work with, people I live with, and all the other things. It's kind of having those close connections and small standards. If they're doing good, I'm good. I don't need tons of things coming in. I don't need to be rich. I don't need to have millions of people on my YouTube channel also, which would be cool. But at the same time, it's just in order for me to be happy, it takes very little. And that is, are people around me doing okay? Those that I care about, are they good? And sort of having certain standards, my mindset or my happiness comes from the smallest things, and that's awesome. So there's that. Um, yeah, we also did a milestone. Last year, I think we finished the year with 950, 940 subscribers or somewhere. We were getting very close to 1,000, but this year alone, we got 1,400 subs or so. It's just crazy. It's crazy to sort of people are watching me. it's the most creative stuff. Like I just like can't believe, but I really appreciate all that. So like having people watch me, people talk to me, join the conversations, and be there in the live streams and all this stuff. It's freaking awesome. I love that, and I want to keep on working to give back to people and just sort of give some sort of value or quality or entertainment or whatever. So there's that. Um, yeah, other highlights of this year. I'm like sort of like looking. I feel like the best for me is that like what's most important to me, I'm taking care of that. Like having relationships taken care of, like people around me are doing good, I'm doing good. Understanding myself better is also a thing. My growth, like just seeing just how I am growing as a person, and by that I mean becoming more confident, like loving myself and trusting my own process. It's just like amazing how I'm focused on doing what I like, and by living with those standards, like do what you love to do, and that will make you happy. And at the same time, it's kind of like seeing myself where I used to like really care about what other people will think, what other people will say, and like all the other things. Now I'm more like I want to be me, and I want to be happy being myself, and at the same time taking off the masks. Like when I was a kid, I tried to please people and all the other things, so like I would like wear tons of masks as in like being tough little girl who didn't like who wasn't afraid of other things, who was like tough in school, like like you ain't gonna fuck with me and all this stuff. So like I tried to like put tons of masks to be there to sort of like either please people or to be the perfect person, but I wasn't working. And now I get to cry in front of the camera. I get to rant. I get to be bitchy. I get to be myself. I get to laugh. I get to play games, and like it's just amazing. So for me, like this is like it's an awesome year. Like it was the year of self growth, like reflecting on who I am, forming my personality, taking off the masks, becoming closer to being myself. Like there's a lot of fear with the world's gonna see me for who I am, but it was one of the biggest risks I'm taking, and at the same time it's very freeing. It's very freeing in a way where I don't have to lie anymore. I don't have to pretend to be who I'm not to be. I get to be myself, and I get people to see me for who I am, and I'm getting accepted, and that's pretty cool for me. It's amazing. So like a year of growth, a year of development, a year of realizing like, hey, you can do what you love to do and make money with that. You don't need to serve or like do things you don't like, and a lot of people are suffering for that, or like a lot of people are like working and doing things they don't like, and I have this massive luxury, and I want to make sure that like because I have these things, I have to work harder than others to appreciate it more, and at the same time give back to others. So there's that. It's a lot of talking. But yeah, so next question. What did you learn about yourself that surprised you? For me, the biggest thing this year was I think it was John West, but there were like a few people saying that when they watch my content, like they see me as a very empowering person. And I never saw myself as that. I never thought of myself like I'm there to like empower others. But now I'm like, damn, all this time I was sort of like trying to do this without really realizing what I'm doing on like that level. And it's just sort of like it's like my new standard. Like the way I want to live, I want to empower others. Like this is something like I wasn't aware of, but I really, really loved, or I still love, you know. And like for me, like this kind of like thing, like knowing that I can actually say certain things, do certain things, and someone will be touched by me. It's just the most amazing thing. And so like I want to make sure that my words, instead of hurting people, it's empowering them. Instead of saying something nasty, it's just actually saying like, hey, you're beautiful, you're handsome, you're freaking powerful. You can do it all. You can make your dreams come true. You can break all the chains of limitations and control and past programming and all this stuff. And you can be yourself. You can be happy being who you are, doing what you love to do and all that. And it's just like amazing because it's not just like sort of like saying things to make people feel better, but it's kind of like living by example. And I don't know, being like that, like first like wolf in a pack who's gonna break through the snow, and I will allow things to come at me and hit me and all this stuff, but I will like sort of like face it all, and at the same time see what I can do to say like, hey, you can do it, come on, let's go. And like, I don't know, it's not like the pep talk, it's not to sort of like hype you, but it's to make you realize that if there are people like wondering like, I feel like I want to get out of body, I want to do this, I want to do that, how do you do this? Like, I don't see myself of someone special. I don't see myself as like, I'm higher than you, I'm better than you, I'm more important than you, I'm an indigo, I'm a starseed and all the crap. It's just tons of labels, and I hate that. How I see myself is like, hi, you and I were the same. I said like, we're on the same level, and I'm willing to do everything to give you all the tools, to share all my knowledge, so that you could take all I have and make your life the best. And so for me, like to hear that, like, Akvile, you're empowering, I'm like, it is just crazy. I never realized that, but it's something I love, especially like nowadays when people are going through life and there's like a lot of this like suffering, misunderstanding, confusion, and like disagreements and all the other stuff. People are like lonely. They're like, they have a lot of pain inside. And if I can do a little bit, if I can do anything to have people work on themselves and make their life awesome, it's just going to be the best. And I feel like, again, learning, like probably like learning that I'm not the savior, or like, like my goal was like, like I had people reach out to me who were suicidal, and I wanted to help them out. And from them, I sort of was like, I accidentally started developing a mindset. I need to help people, but like really go and like do everything for them. And instead, like sort of like answering the next question. So I should probably cut, like shut it up and like talk about the next question in the next video. But yeah. So what was the hardest aspect of this year? It's like probably a few, because people were reaching out to me and they were suicidal. I wanted to help them and I wanted to save them. And there's a sort of savior syndrome where like I need to do everything to help them out. And my mindset became like a switch. I need to do stuff for you, which means if I'm going to do some work, instead of giving you tools and like having you do it, I will do all the work for you. And people start like, I had this like the way I talked, the things I did, it just ended up in me uh, giving the wrong idea to people. Like the last thing I want to do is like, people, you're doing like that, and because of you, this happened. Like, no, it's exactly the opposite. The way I lived and things I represented weren't right. And so people got the wrong idea from what I was saying and doing. And all of a sudden I had these inhumane requests where Akvile, heal me. I'm not a healer. Akvile, fix all my problems. Akvile, fix my procrastination, fix my depression, fix that and that and that. And I ended up like, damn. I was like trying to help out and people were winning. But at the same time, there were people with these massive expectations because of things I represented. And I just could not fulfill all those expectations. Like, I can't fix your life. I can give you tools to change it. And that was also like the change of the mindset of like, I can't fix you, but I can give you all the tools so that you could work on yourself. And sure, it's not like I'm not going to help people ever again. It's more like I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to sit one-to-one or like there with a whole group and like just work with people and all this stuff. But it's more of a mindset like, hey, I need to get to a level where I know your problems and I can get in the same hole with you, but at the same time, instead of like, yeah, go climb out or whatever, like sort of like just giving you the rope and pulling you out, I want to jump in the same hole with you and say, this is how we're gonna do it. Grab here, here, and we're gonna climb out. So sort of like leading by example, and instead of fixing everything, I just want to give tools. So like that's one of the things. That's one of the hardest aspects. Like where I had to shift my mindset, where I have to change the way I work, where I had to sort of like a little like time of like, damn, it's just like I can't do certain stuff, and I had to take a break. And now I'm like, oh, okay, everything's fixed. I'm gonna go with a new mindset and all this stuff. So that's like one of the things. The other one was the loss of my cat, which is like losing my best friend, losing the king of my world, losing the most fluffiest, cutest little thing there is. Like, it was just interesting journey. It was interesting journey because like last year on like 2019, before 2020. Like he had like some issues with his heart, with his kidneys, with other things, and we went to vet and we sort of like got him steady. And the vet said you have 2 weeks, the best, and like sort of IV bags and other things like daily and other things like we did that. And I was going to America like after that, like sort of like after Christmas. And I was telling my cat, like, hey, buddy, you have to wait it out at least another year. You have to wait it. And he did. It's just like sort of like when I reflect on that, like little things I say to him and like asking him to stay and like he got better. He was like instead of like being like little coughing little sick boy, he was into like this ferocious beast, you know, like he was just amazing. But yeah, like every time I think about him, there's also good memories. Like there's not a single bad thing left. Uh, so sometimes like like you look at feeling oh like my cat like peed on the floor, did that or scratched the things and like oh I got a few scars and all this stuff. It's like at the moment like there were some aggravations like ah damn it like, but now it's more like it does not matter. None of it. None of the little things like oh there's like some pee on the floor or whatever. None of it matters at all. And those little scars I got from him, every time I look at them, like when I got my cat, I was a kid, like I was 10 years old, and I just loved playing with him, but I did not understood the boundaries that the cat has. I did not understood his values or how he liked to be on his own and his own safety and all this stuff. So I was sort of like playing with him, but it aggravated him and all this stuff. And like I was going to school and my whole hands from shoulders to my fingers, both arms were covered in scars. My face, like I'm like, oh, I just like I was playing with the cat itself, I'm a little fine. But now like I look at every single scar and I'm like, that's my body, all right. Like I don't have it. Like it's not that visible right now, like nowadays. But like a few scars I still have from him. I love it. It's not like it's like ah shit I got a scar. Like like people are like yeah like like everyone's gonna see that and like especially for girls is bad. And I'm like that's my cat, all right. So like for me it's like it's just tons of good memories and appreciation and sort of like losing him and realizing how smallest things are the most important in life. How like I stopped like waiting for things to happen to feel happy. I stopped waiting for like specific events or whatever. It's just like right here right now, smallest needs, when they're satisfied, it's all I need to be happy. And not being aggravated, pissed off, stressed out, anxious, ferocious, and all the stuff about the other things. It's just like there's no need. Like um learning that like all those little things that happen that aggravates you, that stresses you out and all this stuff. Like for me, my stand is just like I have people and animals I love, and if I would lose them, it would just sort of like really change my world. And I had this chance like from listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. He was at like talking and explaining how all these things that are happening that are pissing you off, none of it matters if you have the right standards. So like whatever would piss you off, if you just look at like if this would happen and this happens, this thing, like let's say like your company's failing, you might have to give a refund or like like arguments and all the stuff, and there's the person or the animal you love dies. Your attention is all here. Like all of that stuff doesn't matter. And so for me to sort of like experience it firsthand, it was amazing how there like were tons of little things happening in my world sort of like slowly like falling apart or little obstacles and just sort of like I have to fix a lot of problems, but I think my cat dies, like none of it matters at all. And like right now living with this mindset with everyone is okay and I'm happy. All the other things that might come at me or people might say crap or like let's say uh like the sessions don't go so well or like life happens and like maybe car breaks down or some other things. It's just like it's replaceable. It's okay. It's just reputation. It's just that. So like for me, like whole different standards, and it's realizing that like it comes as at the cost. Like like you have to experience it firsthand to sort of like damn, I can look at the life way differently. So for me, like I can be very happy right now just because of some of the hardships that I got to experience, and there's that. So question number 4. What lessons did you learn that you're going to take into the next year? And like I mentioned, but that's going to be uh, definitely appreciating life much more, and like appreciating things I have and just being happy with what I have. Like there's no need for things to come into my life and like like let's say seeing my YouTube channel grow makes me happy. Like just like hey, I'm reaching out to more people are becoming more like let's say interested in certain topics I'm talking about and all this stuff, and that's cool. And so like these numbers I stopped really caring about the numbers at like when I reached like 300 subscribers, because like I reached it, like I really got this. And then every time I see like the growth for like people and the subscribers, like, just like that's cool, like I like it makes me happy. But at the same time, there's no need for that anymore. Like I'm just like happy with what I have. Like people are doing great, and that's it. Like I don't need anything more. Other things like I just like about myself, it's okay to be myself. It's okay to show up with tears, and it's okay to say, "Hey, it hurts. I'm not doing so good." It's okay to say like, "I'm suffering," and it's okay to ask for help. It's one of the harder things for me, because like I lived my whole life thinking that I have to be tough, I have to tough it out, and I can't trust people. Like because of things that happened in my life, I was living with the mindset that I can't trust others. And right now, I can say like like because things changed and I'm like doing much better within myself, things are good. But if stuff would happen and if I would need help, I know that I can reach out to tons of people here on YouTube who are listening to me. I can reach out to people that are close to me and say like, "Hey, I'm hurt and I need help," or like this stuff is happening. So sort of like the lessons that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask certain questions. It's okay to be needy. It's okay to say that things are not going so well. It's like I really like the whole idea of stop pretending that everything's perfect, because I try to do that like my whole life, and like like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's fine. It's like in Lithuania, it's like especially that mindset where, at least, or like in my family, where if you're doing good, people will get jealous and like, yeah, like we have to, like it's just not good. If you're doing bad, people will be happy, or like let's say even like mess with you more. But if you're doing neutral, like yeah, everything's fine, and you just sort of like stop talking. It's kind of like people are like, yeah, okay, and like they don't give a fuck. So like it was sort of like living with the mindset where you can't do too much because people will get jealous, or they will attack you, or they will not approve of you. If you're doing really bad, people will still fuck with you and bully you. But if you're in the middle, or just like invisible, it's like, yeah, you're okay, So like I live in that sort of like just trying to be invisible, and I'm not anymore. And I can see like, hey, there's like Lithuanians watching my videos, and I'm even considering like creating a Lithuanian channel for YouTube and all this stuff. So like it's just amazing. There's a lot of things I'm learning, and I'm proud of, and I'm feeling good about. And so like I'm just like, let's keep going. So okay, next question. Um, what's one thing you'll commit to not going back? Something I'm gonna commit to not going back. It's a good one. I guess like I used to be aggravated by certain things people say. Let's say in the comments, like if my mindset, like like let's say we don't agree necessarily, but then with certain people they're very pushy, and I would be pushy back. Like let's say certain Christians, or like religious people, they're like oh, there's no gods besides my Jesus and all this stuff, and you're like, well, I have a different belief system, and here's what I think. And they would just I don't know, like some people are like very pushy, and now it's sort of like I'm gonna be pushy back. So like those things, I don't need that anymore. Like it's just like, yeah, cool. You have your own opinion. It's all good. I don't need people to agree to me, to like me, to support me or anything. Like it's cool when that happens. I really appreciate that. But at the same time, it's not like I'm living on sort of someone else's sort of like, hey, Akvile, you're cool. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. Like nah, fuck that. Like I know who I am for myself, and the rest is cool. So like it's one of those small things though. It's one of those small things. Something I'm not gonna go back to is regret. I don't want to regret things. Like specifically, like let's say when I reflect on my cat, or certain conversations I've had in the past, where you just don't know when it's gonna be the last moment. For example, like talking to certain people, and if shit goes sideways, if you're like sort of like, let's say, have like a little argument, and after the call, or like a few days later, a few hours later, you find out that that person dies, and you're just sort of stuck with that like shitty conversation you've had. I don't want that. Or let's say uh being with my cat, there were like tons of times where, like, let's say I would go to visit my parents and my cat was with them, and they were like, the cat's not doing so good, and I'm like, I should take him to the vet, and they're like, yeah, but not really. It's like we don't need to spend money on that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was kind of like just sort of like listening to my parents on certain things, when deep inside, like, damn, if I could just take him, maybe things would be fixed. And it's kind of like this sort of like I reflected after he died into like, damn, if I would just not listen to Barons and just sort of like fuck it all, I'm just gonna help him out. But it's more like I got. It's funny. It's so funny. Now I reflect on it, and it's basically the same thing, where I remember my great grandfather and the whole family. It's kind of like the meeting where my great grandparents' place, and everyone's having dinner. But my great grandfather was eating alone in the kitchen, and grandma was like, "Don't spend time with him. Go away because he is old. He stinks." And like my grandfather like had his stuff connected to like kidneys, and basically he would be carrying like a few bags so that he could pee in the bag and all the stuff instead of like going out because like he just couldn't and all. So just like tons of little health issues now. But I was sort of like my grandma's here like, hey, don't like get out, and I basically listened to grandma instead of actually like, hey, I love him. I want to spend time with him. I want to just like talk to him and all this stuff, and I didn't. And it's funny because sort of like same thing happened to my cat where my parents were like, yeah, just like he's fine, he's gonna be getting better, or like whatever. Like, but things they say, I knew like there's an action I need to take, and there's things they're saying, and I listen to them like, oh, okay, and I agree to them. And this happened like twice in my life, but it's also the twice I've lost people or beings I love because it didn't take action. Or let's say I wouldn't have saved my great grandfather, but I could have had the conversation. I could have said I love you. I could have said other things. And sort of like that is like the things I regret. And I don't want that happening anymore. Like I should listen to myself more. So something I don't want to, or like one thing that I'm gonna not do anymore is sort of like stop listening others when deep inside I know I should take an action. And that's something I want to do right now. Like I want to stop listening to others and saying like, it's gonna be okay, yeah, yeah, whatever. So sort of just going with the flow instead of nah, I'm gonna do it. Like sort of like becoming more decisive and all. That should be a thing. So yeah, question number 6. What's one thing you started doing this year that you want to keep on doing? It's probably like making more YouTube videos and live streaming. Live streaming is so fun. Like doing these Q&A videos and just sitting with people for 3 hours and answering questions and giving any possible value, empowering others and people. Like literally, like I've had comments like every time, uh, like I don't stream, people like have a life and they're not doing so good, but every time they tune in and like watch the live stream, it's just they're coming out with like more empowered, and it's just like amazing how me talking can actually do that. Like it's still hard to understand or like sort of like really, but I'm just sort of amazed. I'm so amazed that this is actually a thing, and I really want to help out. Like I want to keep on doing. I want to keep empowering people, giving you tons of tools so that you could make your life better and just like enjoy things. Because like I'm enjoying life right now, and I'm having this luxury, but I know like a lot of people who are in pain who are not doing so good, and I know, like there's a lot of clients, a lot of people sharing their issues with me in the comments and in emails and all this stuff, and being aware of like what my audience is like, and knowing a lot of you personally, like I want to make sure that like I'm having a very good life, and I want to do something to help you get there as well, one way or the other. So there's that. It's like empowering people and doing live streams and giving people tons of tools. This is like definitely a thing. Yeah, number 7. In what ways are you stronger than you were last year? I think that the biggest one is confidence. Confidence and actually loving myself, liking myself in a way where I acknowledge my faults and my flaws and my mistakes, but at the same time, it's more like, yeah, shit happened. And I've learned from that. And sort of like liking myself no matter what. Doesn't matter how I look or even like where there are days where I'm going to do this thing and I'm fired up and I do it for a while, and then boom, I stop doing it. Stuff happens, or maybe I get lazy and all this stuff, and it's like stop blaming myself. It's just like, it's okay, it's okay, you gotta get back to it. So like instead of like reflecting and sort of like stopping my activities, like specifically for like let's say working out or eating healthier and all this stuff, I just like, yeah, shit happens, but I can definitely take a charge in it. But so like just like seeing how I can be in control of my own life or of my decisions and all this stuff, it's definitely a strength. And seeing myself as a stronger person is it's amazing. So like I want to live in this abundance. I want to live in this abundance and continue doing this. And it's just like there's a lot I've learned about myself. So there's that. What wisdom are you bringing into the next year? Boom. What wisdom? I think like for me, like again, it's just like appreciating life, smallest things. Like not waiting for certain things to happen. Like people like, oh, December  21st, oh, like this Saturn and Jupiter, or like, oh, this day is gonna happen, or we're gonna have disclosure, or we're gonna have this, the election, and all the other things. We're like constantly waiting for something to happen to feel better. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like this whole year I've been learning that nothing needs to happen because I can have it all within, and being able to like from within live every single day where I'm happy and satisfied. It's amazing. So like it's definitely sort of like appreciating the smallest things. Like this, so it's sort of like that gratitude, being grateful and all that stuff. There's a lot to it, and it's just like your mindset and how you live your life. Like will literally have massive control over our whole life. And yes, there's a lot of things happening. There's the third parties, there's the entities, there's the other people, there's like tons of other stuff happening. But eventually, it's like looking at yourself and like, hey, I have boundaries. I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And sort of like just sort of being in control of your life, your thoughts, your decisions, how you feel. It's freaking hard. It's not like you're like, yeah, like I'm gonna just like right now I feel like shit and I'm gonna feel better like that. It's not easy. It's not fun. It takes a lot of practice, but everyone can do it. And sort of like for me, uh next year, just like appreciating every single thing. Like stuff happens, but it does not necessarily have to bum you out and make your life miserable. It's like stuff happens and yeah, shit is bad out there, but deep inside you feel good. And that's my take on it. So yeah. What are you most proud of that happened this past year? Most proud of? I guess by the amount of people I've helped. Like it's hard to believe again that I can be helpful, that I can do things for others. But like the biggest thing for me is like I want to help people and improve their lives. As in, like maybe I'm not gonna save you, maybe I'm not gonna give it all to you, but just sort of like sharing what I know, sharing the same tools, sharing the same techniques and all the other things, and hey, saying like, hey, you don't need a savior, you don't need a hero, you don't need that and that and that. You can do it all yourself. You are freaking powerful. You have it all within, and let me help you and let me guide you if that's what you need. But literally just by doing same techniques, repeating the same steps, you can fix your life, you can make your dreams come true, you can have your love back, and you can like attract people you want in your life, you can achieve exactly what you want. It's all possible. And actually like having tons of people done where people are saying like, hey, you saved my life, uh seeing their health change is like, it's the most amazing work, because eventually what I'm doing, it does not matter how it is done, whether it is the energy work, whether it's certain techniques and all this stuff, but seeing the end result where people come up with, let's say, for 50 years, they'll live with a fucked up heart, and it took 1 hour and it all disappeared. Like their condition changes, their whole life changes. They're able to get their love life. They're able to get like manifest people into their life. They're able to fix like from going from completely broken homeless into finally having a place for themselves, having a job, having a family, and all the other things. Like I've seen a lot of people suffering, and I've seen a lot of people get better, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And sort of like I've had tons of times where like reading emails from people that like I haven't heard from a while, sharing their stories of what changed after working with me. And I'm not sincerely saying like I did it all, it's all thanks to me. It's far from that. I did a little bit, and people worked their ass off and made their life better. And seeing them win, seeing you win, seeing that like you can make your life better, you can achieve your dreams, you can do what you love to do. I love that. I love when people are happy. I love when people are winning. And so it's fighting for people. It's fighting for your happiness. It's fighting for everyone. And I love that. So it definitely like I'm freaking proud that like I could be a little part in someone else's journey, and their life got better. It's just the most amazing thing. So yeah, so these would be like my answers, but like I think it's actually a good thing. Like there's a lot of negative things that happened this year, like people with the corona, with the pandemic, with like losing their jobs and all the other things. And just by reflecting on this year, and specifically my life, things that like I have done and I haven't done and all this stuff, it's sort of like having a better look. And there's a lot of things happening in the world. And it is a problem. But at the same time, just by focusing like, hey, me and myself, and like no matter how harsh things are out there, I know that like in my life, I'm doing good. And I should appreciate what I have. And I should live every single moment being happy and thankful and grateful and all this stuff. And from this, like coming from this abundance into going and giving and doing things for others if possible, it's a thing. So like I guess like what I want to say, like no matter how bad things are, just like focusing on yourself and like like if you want to change the world, change yourself first. It's like living by that mindset and just like seeing how much I change and how much like I create these like little ripples, but it just continues like ripple after ripple after ripple. And it's like a chain of process where people get better, where they talk to each other, where they connect, and just sort of like just like this like pushing a domino, and then it's just a massive chain of things happening and getting better. So like we have a massive impact on the world, and this is just the beginning. Like this is a journey. There's no end goals in like a yeah, at the end of your life certain things will happen. It's more like just like live to the fullest, be happy, do what you love to do, and all that. So that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you for everyone who stick with me, to listen to me, to talk to me, and all this stuff. And hey, it was an amazing year. I am really grateful for all your attention, for all your support, for you being here with me, for you sharing your thoughts, your ideas, your life. And I want to continue doing my best to be there for you, to support you. So that being said, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.